It's time for another Q-tip. Let me give you a clue. They're known for seafood, they're known for architecture, they're known for beaches, and they're definitely known for football. Know the answer? Ronaldo knows. Assalamu alaikum everyone, and hola! Today we're going to be talking about Portugal. Why? Because of course Portugal has qualified for the World Cup here in Qatar. And I'm sure you are all going to be super excited to watch some soccer legends. And I know, some people might be like, I'm going to be voting for my country, but once they get disqualified, I'm going to go straight for Portugal. I know how you feel. So let's start with the facts. How many Portuguese people are here in Qatar? 1,500. Now, how do you say Portugal in Arabic? Portugal. Portugal is called Portugal, which means orange, because it was the Portuguese that introduced oranges to us over here. We have named the orange after the kind people of Portugal. Qatar and Portugal's diplomatic relations began back in 1982. 2 years before I was born. But it was in 2009 that the two countries opened up embassies in the respective capitals, in Doha and Lisbon. And of course, the country shares a border with Spain. But how big is Portugal? It's 7 times bigger than Qatar. And yes, I say it every single episode. I'm gonna say it again. Qatar's a small country, but we got a big heart. So our population is small too, around 2.7 million. And how many Qataris are there? Around 8% of that. So how many Portuguese are there? Around 11 million in Portugal, but I just learned a fun fact. There are 3 times more than that outside of Portugal. In terms of the currency, 1 real is equal to 0.27 euros. Portugal is the oldest founded country in Europe, founded in 1143. So when you think about globetrotters, you tend to think of, I don't know, Christopher Columbus as an example. But actually, it was Fernão de Magalhães who traveled and circumnavigated the world with an expedition. Now, a lot of people know Vasco da Gama as a famous explorer, and actually, it was thanks to the Portuguese that Qatar started to get a lot of its development, and this was way before the Ottomans came on out. I'm dropping facts all over the place. Afroon, drop the facts. It's a lot of facts. But of course, what we want to know is everything related to the Portuguese community here in Qatar. Where can they eat? What do they eat? I just want food. I'm hungry right now. No, really, honestly, we're going to talk to someone really special, and we're going to welcome her right now.
Hola.
Hola.
Hola. Tudo bem?
Huh? What was that?
How are you?
You just said Schlonik in Portuguese. How are you doing? Are you good?
Very good.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Today we're going to teach a little bit of the community about Portugal and the Portuguese community over here.
Very happy to share.
So, how long have you been here in Qatar?
16 years. I came in 2006.
Oh, wow. Wait, did you plan to stay for 16 years?
No, 1 year for the Asian Games, remember?
Oh, yeah, okay. You're like, I'm going to come for a year, and then you're like, you know what? I'm staying.
We fell in love.
What's Portugal, though, known for?
Well, Portugal is known for being a top destination to live in Europe. A very friendly country, very friendly people, great food, amazing fish. The codfish is our most famous one.
Okay.
Architecture, folk dance, football. Do you know something else that Portugal is very famous for? And it's very present here in Qatar nowadays?
What's that?
Cobblestone. So we have around 2,000 square meters of cobblestone in Lafayette, 21st Street, in Qatar Cultural Village. And every stone was laminated by hand by the artisans that came to do that. It's beautiful.
All right, let's go back to the subject that I got everybody's mouth watering for, food.
Yes.
So where do the Portuguese people eat here in Qatar?
Well, in Qatar, we are at the moment only home-based businesses.
Okay.
But very soon, we will have 2 places. One, it will be called Lázaro for savory food.
Okay.
And Portugal Sweets for You for sweets. This one is called ensopado de borrego in Portuguese,
okay,
which is basically a lamb stew with bread and potatoes.
It smells really nice as well. It's interesting that you said you've got bread in that, because I've got this, and this is known as tharid. And of course, you can see that we've got the chicken as well, and just like yours, we've got like a curried stew underneath. So we like to let the bread marinate and absorb the flavors.
So this is the Portuguese version of your thread.
Yeah, you got Portuguese tharid. So we talked about the savory, and you brought this beautiful plate of it. Guys, Just don't talk. Just look for a second. Enough looking. Can I eat it?
Yes,
Oh,
it's for you.
Okay, so what do you have on this plate?
So these are some of the most famous sweets. This is pastel de nata, the famous egg tart.
Yep. Which is so famous here in Qatar.
Yeah, it's very famous in Qatar. All of these are some of our most famous one. Bolle de Berlin, which you can call like a kind of a donut, but it's very different in
It's
taste.
a donut with what's in it?
Egg yolk, yeah.
And then, of course, this is a custard tart.
Custard, yeah.
And then
this is with the kind of the rice paper,
Okay.
also with the egg.
Like a sweet egg.
Sweet egg
Yeah.
inside. Bol de roche, also very traditional. It's called rice cake.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with rice, but it's really...
Does it have rice in it?
No,
No.
not at all.
Rice cake without rice.
Pão de Deus, or God's bread.
Yes.
Which is really good. There's also a bit of coconut on it. Pastel de Tentugal. And then this is also very famous in Portugal, torta de laranja.
So we learned about the food. What are the similarities between Qatar and Portugal?
We have quite a few. The one that strikes me the most is the gold.
Okay.
So I'm wearing this filigree, which is very popular in Portugal. In the north, it's like full bodies of gold. Like the ladies here for Ramadan or henna parties.
Or weddings or yeah.
Weddings. The gold was really something that I was like, oh my God, I saw this. I mean, in a different context and ways of wearing, but same.
Right. And with similar patterns almost as well. Right.
Yeah, we have a lot of similar ones.
And what else is the same?
Words like...
language.
If I say Oshallah.
Yeah, we say Inshallah. It's so similar. Okay.
Yeah, if I say azeitona.
We say zaytun.
Azeite.
Zait, we also say zait. Oil.
Açúcar.
Sukkar, which is sugar. So it sounds very similar. So there's a lot of words that are just... So wait, does that mean that we learned it from you guys?
We learned it from you guys. We even have towns in Portugal all starting with Algarve, Algesur, Alentejo, all Almancil, all starting with AL. You also wear very colorful during Eid, for example,
and
all the
floral
dresses
too.
And floral. So we also wear a lot, especially in the north. This is a traditional scarf that we wear in the north.
This is normal to wear, right? So it's not like you wear it only on special occasions?
Special occasions now only. I
Okay.
mean, barely anyone. Unless you go to the north, to the very small villages, you might find someone wearing, but mostly now is traditional. Yeah.
So like if you were in the city, you know, you're like in Lisbon walking around like this.
No, you won't see anyone.
You wouldn't see anyone? But if you did?
You were like, oh, where is the party?
Where's the party?
Yeah. Talking about parties, I can teach you how to dance a Portuguese traditional dance.
Do I need a scarf too?
Well, I have one for you.
Oh, really? Are you serious?
Yes.
All right.
This is another lady's scarf option.
Well, why am I wearing it if it's for ladies?
Because I don't have one for a man.
Okay. But I also noticed that you guys fold your scarves the way that we fold our ghitras as well.
I was
always in a
thinking about
triangle,
that,
right?
yes.
Well, I'm confident in my manliness, so I'm still gonna put this on.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do this. Ready to party.
It's called Vira.
Yalla, show me how to Vira.
So you have to do this. Well, this was not the real and the best way, but he can show you.
We just did a little bit of vira, and all of a sudden you're wearing football
Eu
jersey.
virei, which means I turned.
You turned into the fan that you're... Okay, so you're wearing the jersey right now.
Yes.
Question that I have is, what is your national team known? Like, what's the nickname?
Seleção das Quinas.
All right, so how do you guys cheer for your team? Like, do you have like a special cheer?
Yes, we have. Can I show you?
Okay, show me. Show us.
1, 2, 3. Portugal, olé! Portugal, olé! Portugal, olé! Portugal, olé! Portugal, olé! Portugal, olé!
All right, there were a lot of olays in your chant. So I have a question. Who are you going to be olaying for? Do you have a favorite player?
We have amazing players in our team, and I don't want to repeat this name, but I have to. Cristiano Ronaldo. I have to.
Oh.
I have.
All right, so how many times, though, did Portugal qualify for the World Cup?
This is our 8th qualification, this one.
You know what's cool? Okay, so our logo looks like the number 8. So
Yes.
8 stadiums, it's your 8th qualification. Is there something that the universe is saying? I don't know.
Yes, because the stadium where we are going to play the final is a stadium which capacity is for 80,000.
80,000 people.
Yeah.
So who do you think is going to be holding up the trophy for 80,000 people?
Portugal, of course.
It's Qatar. I can dream, and I believe it. So guys, I want to hear down below, who are you going to be supporting? So thank you so much for giving us some of your time and teaching us about the Portuguese community. Just a small gift to remember, of course, Qatar. After 16 years of being here, just the jersey, of course. I know you're going to be wearing the Portuguese jersey and cheering, but this can be like...
I will wear it for so many other events.
the other matches. All right, guys, so I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, don't forget to give us a like. Don't forget to share. And the bell in Portuguese is?
Sino.
So ring that sino. مع السلامة.
Masalama.